Heffel has always been a proud supporter and ally of Indigenous contemporary and historical artists and their market. We value and recognize their distinctive practices, visions, and voices, and their contributions to the cultural identity of our diverse country. And I've had the honor of leading Barry Ace's representation since 2019, and it has truly been a wonderful and rewarding journey on so many levels. So while focusing on very profound themes such as the impact of colonization, the impact of the digital age, one key element recurrent in Barry's multi-layered work is that everything is connected and everything is interconnected.
My work addresses the impact of colonization on Indigenous peoples. The work I do, as I mentioned, is a confluence between the historical and the contemporary. So what I'm doing is I'm looking back into the past and I'm bringing forward cultural arts and adding a contemporary overlay or an element to the work.
So thinking through why we titled the catalog Encoding Culture, I was interested in how code, at least today in this contemporary moment, is something that we think about from a digital perspective. Also is thinking through code as a prescriptive set of rules and guidelines that we use for cultures to really dictate how to live a good life. They're the guidelines that we follow. It's what inspires us. It's what gives us an anchor, a tethering to who we are as individuals and as a collective in that culture.
So just like the material that he uses in his work, such as copper metal and electrical wires, Barry's work is conductive of a very impactful and meaningful energy. His work really literally stops a viewer in their tracks. And it's a response that we frequently see. His work has the power to energize the viewer in a unique and compelling way.
You'll notice in my work that I incorporate beads in my paperwork and also in my assemblage work. The bead in Anishinaabeg is Manitoulin Island, and it means a spirit berry or an energy berry. So when you're stitching beadwork together onto a textile or onto paper, you're actually stitching together energy and power.
Through its distinctive Anishinaabeg aesthetics, Barry's work really stands at a junction between the historical and the contemporary, which is really the basis of his artistic practice. So in order to move forward, he brings along relevant and sustaining knowledge from the past. The broad range of material that he uses exemplifies that. For example, he'll use traditional birch bark or porcupine quills with otter fur, feathers mixed in with contemporary and technological electronical components such as capacitors and circuit boards and diodes. So all of that really represents his signature style and his signature aesthetics.
So I take these flat ceramic disc capacitors that I reclaim from electronic circuit boards and components, and I replicate Great Lakes floral motifs, which are signature Anishinaabe cultural symbols. And there's a beautiful simile between the glass bead and the electronic component, because the glass bead is energy and the electronic component is also energy-based, and it stores energy and it releases it when it's needed.
In looking at Barry's work, you really start to have an understanding of Anishinaabe culture. So you're looking at all the ways that he's continuing this aesthetic, and that's really about the encoding part of it all. So looking at how he encodes an Anishinaabe aesthetic into his bandolier bags, into the pottery, into the memory landscape work. Even in those pieces, there's all these sort of little hints as to what it means for him to be Anishinaabe, as well as the cultural continuance of bringing forward much of the symbolism, the iconography, the ideas passed down.
Often when we look at museum collections and we see historical cultural arts, we tend to fit or place Indigenous people within a historical stasis. In other words, a romantic, unchanging context. So my work challenges that, showing that we have and been here, and we continue to produce, and we continue to bring new elements into our culture.
So I appreciate how when you're looking at his work, as you get to know what is behind more and more, you're starting to see the layers come out. You're starting to kind of understand what he is encoding into.
Barry has exhibited extensively in Canada and internationally. His works can be found in important private and public collections such as the National Gallery of Canada, the AGO, the Canadian Museum of History, the McMichael Collection, the Canada Council Art Bank, to name a few. In my opinion, Barry Ace is really one of the most important contemporary artists of his generation in Canada.